Hello, and welcome to StoryFellas, the podcast where we make stories and we break stories. I'm your host, Tommy Antonucci.
And I'm your host, Zach Lovelace.
And if you're watching the video, you can tell Tommy's not in his normal place. I'm traveling, so I have a very rudimentary, janky setup that we're hoping is going to work. I have terrible lighting. I look like a demon.
Yeah, you look like you're in like a hotel. I'm at HQ. I'm at StoryFellas HQ.
He's at HQ. Zach looks so hot right now. He's handsome.
Wow. Oh, thanks, man.
The truth comes out.
It is 6:40 in the morning, so I guess I just wake up looking like this.
Like just goo in his eyes.
Yeah.
Show off your
SpongeBob
mug.
close up of my eyes.
You showed me your mug beforehand. You got
Oh yeah. I got this from a Christmas party. Actually, from Johnny, our good friend who's been on the show.
Nice.
It was a white elephant gift.
Dragon Ball Z. People are going to get mad in the comments, but who is this character? I know we could Google it, but we're not going to.
We're not going to Google it, yeah.
Is it Ravitz or something?
Dude, I have no idea. I'm such a normie when it comes to Dragon Ball Z. I know that this is Piccolo and Goku. Yeah. And I know that they're doing something with the energy.
Some blast. Yeah, I was telling Zach that Goku puts him in a headlock. Piccolo blasts them both through the chest. Spoilers for a 40-year-old cartoon or whatever that came out. But I can't remember his name. I also played all the fighting games. I played all of them, like all those Dragon Ball Z fighting games.
Is he just like such a one-off character that it's not
like he's like one of the first, like, you know, Frieza, right?
Yeah.
Like, so it's like before Frieza arrives, it's like all these little Saiyans. Like there's the guy who can like take over bodies and stuff. It's like, I think before him, he's like the first guy, and he's like, I guess, Goku's introduction to Saiyans in a sense. If I remember.
So Piccolo was already a good guy at that point? Because I remember Piccolo kind of being a bad guy.
I think Piccolo was like a bad guy in Dragon Ball when Goku was a kid. And
that's right. Okay.
I don't know when, like, that was all that beginning stuff. I kind of like dropped into Dragon Ball Z like around Frieza, or like before Frieza. So all these guys right before are a little fuzzy for me.
Yeah, I know that my exposure to it was on when I got home from school. Mm-hmm. And I would just, I remember Gohan it being like little and having a tail.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I was more of an X-Men kid, so this stuff it's funny because I think it resonates with a lot of people, but story-wise, I think it is really hard to get into. It's kind of like comics. You know, people are hesitant to get into comics because there's, hundreds of issues of Spider-Man. Where do I begin? It's like, well, if you read 3 issues from Amazing Spider-Man and 6 issues from this and this and this, it's like,
I think people make some abridged version, either officially or maybe on YouTube, because it is like, as a kid, you're like, this is so cool, but it's like 3 episodes of them powering up before anything happens. They really string it along, but it's like the villains are cool and the heroes are cool. I think it's kind of, I don't watch it. There's like Dragon Ball Super now.
I've heard,
is from a friend basically saying like, oh yeah, it's like his Kamehameha wave, instead of blowing up a planet, he can blow up a universe now. And it's like, okay, well, at what point does it is it too big to even like fathom how powerful these guys are?
Yeah, that's fair. That's why I think just the 90s anime is like the perfect encapsulation of Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z. I guess Dragon Ball was in the 80s, but
Dragon Ball Z was that sweet spot where they're like leveling up and powering up, but it wasn't like beyond the limits of like anything you get to like universe level of like.
They could fight each other, and obviously like killing a planet feels like it's pretty far. It's pretty far. I can't really imagine what that's like.
Yeah, that's kind of a very recurring thing in Dragon Ball Z of like, I'm gonna blow up the planet. It's like, which is also a recurring thing in Star Wars. It feels like every new Star Wars movie that came out, they're like, you know what? Bigger Death Star.
Yes.
And it's just the same plot over and over.
This is the Star Destroyer, or no, what was it called? Star Killer or something like that. And it's like, okay, dude.
It is just funny every time they're just like, we're just going to make another Death Star. It's bigger this time.
I didn't mind it at the end of Return of the Jedi, because it was like, okay, that was the trilogy. They're just trying to remake the weapon. They're not trying to go bigger. It's just remake the same weapon. That's it. And they have to stop them before they do that. It's like, okay, that's fair. But everything after that is stupid, for sure. So, if you guys like Dragon Ball Z, let us know who this guy is, because I'm drinking out of a mug with his face on it. I don't know who he is.
Yeah. Comment your favorite character below.
Yeah, Broly.
Well, we're gonna tell some stories today. We're gonna have some fun. I have a little scrap idea, Zach, that Zach has not heard.
No.
It's very simple, but I do think we could have some fun with it. The scrap is just two farmers discover something supernatural is destroying their crops.
Oh, that's cool.
That's the extent. I feel like Signs comes to mind clearly, but like,
Oh yeah.
I think we're gonna make it funny. Like, I think I want to make it funny naturally. Like, what is
Yeah.
just like, I don't know. I like that scene. I like that kind of like Midwest like farm scene, like corn everywhere. But we could make it serious. But I think it would be funny to have some sort of weird.
Yeah, we're
twist.
gonna go funny. We're gonna go funny.
Yeah.
You know, that's just what's going to happen. No, I think that's a really great prompt. What immediately comes to my mind is locusts and mutant locusts. And so you could do a whole, horror type thing with that, where they just like eat a guy. I imagine that he's like running. Oh, it's like the scarabs from the Mummy. That's kind of cool. Like they just get totally, eaten down to the core.
What if
those things were always really scary. So,
yeah. What if we had? I like the idea of having these two farmer protagonists. Maybe they're brothers or something, or just friends, like they're from neighboring farms. And they're like, I don't know, 30s or something. Maybe they're farm hands rather than the owners of the farm. If they found like one of these alien locust arrives like before the others, and it could be fun to have like an ETS story where they're like, wow. It's like, I could keep this thing as a dog. And it's like dog size. And they like find it. Like, they're like, it ate my cat. And they like it and it befriends them. But then like the swarm actually shows up and starts like destroying things or something. I don't know. I kind of think that's kind of funny and cute a little bit.
It is. And I mean, it could be a twist on that type of scenario, basically, where the one guy really thinks that this thing, like he can ET this thing, when in reality, it's like a dumb locust. It's not ET,
That's a really funny line. He's like, dude, I can ET this thing. I can like, get my best friend. It's like clear, like in the background, like eating, like it killed a cow, and it's like, it's like
it like ate straight through it, and there's just like a hole in the middle of it. I think that they should be like cosmic locusts, so that they could go through dimensions and stuff. So bear with me here, and they eat certain things. That are life-giving. Obviously they give like crops and stuff, but like they don't just go around eating anything, but maybe it's something specific. But the one like slips through the dimensional wall, and that's why there's only one of it. But basically they figure out that there's more coming through that hole or whatever. So that way they could eat like the core of the earth or something like that. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Yeah,
they're like Galactus almost. Actually, they're almost like Galactus.
Oh, just in a swarm of locust form.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah.
I think that's cool, and I think we can treat it almost opposite of world builders. Let's just call them cosmic locusts. They teleport. They go through portals. They have crazy properties, but we do not have to really explain or understand.
They're like bulletproof.
What they do. Yeah. One of them just immediately tries to shoot it, and he's like, "Whoa."
There's maybe a third farmer. He shoots it and it ricochets and kills him.
I was gonna say a cop. Like a cop panics and shoots it, and it bounces and blows up his shin, and he's like, yeah, that's funny. The other option is we could introduce a kid into the scene. I feel like maybe a family dynamic of like rather than just.
I don't mind that. I liked the two brothers though. Okay. I like the idea that one of the brothers is divorced, and so maybe we could add a family type element with that. But the ones like stayed behind with the farm. I don't really. Actually, this is kind of interesting because you did say like they're not the owners, and I like that a lot. As opposed to there's that, and I know it still happens, but it's not very relatable because it doesn't happen as much. But like family farm, like that is a big. Like corporate farm, that happens, but not super often. So like maybe even making it a big corporate farm, like a legit business, and these guys just work on the farm. I as like you said, as farmhands. I think that's good because then there's a dynamic there where we could have the owner come out, we could have the company come out, you know, and yeah.
I like that. I like that. I think that's also a unique story because I think the go-to storytelling device is a family farm, just a small farm.
Exactly.
I think a corporate farm's interesting because then you have some dynamics of like a corporate office, like a more corporate office they can be in and smuggle this like little ET wrapped baby looking like locust thing in there.
That's really cool. And
who ate my sandwich from the fridge?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like the things like.
I think a cool practical puppet for this locust that gets through, the first one that gets through, could be really cool.
Something that we could hitch the story onto is if we, it might not make a ton of sense, but like a Monsters Inc. thing where like this locust came out from inside the corporate office or something, or maybe it's the field, and they're trying to get it back. You know,
yeah,
like that's like a nice, like simple narrative that it's like, okay, you're trying to get to this destination. But
that's
it's also
true.
cool
Just A
if
to B.
if a portal just opens up in a cornfield somewhere that no one can see it, and this thing popped out, and no one really.
Well, that's what I was thinking. Is that the corporation is the one who actually caused the rip in the dimension. And so it's like the whole thing, because you can get back to like the corporation comes in, they seal everything off, and they basically they have to kill everybody inside of that. To keep it quiet, because if these locusts got out, they would eat the entire universe, basically, which I think is kind of cool. Yeah, know what I mean?
Yeah. So they made the portal accidentally. Are they aware that? They made the portal?
I don't know if they're aware of it. Also, I do think a pesticide could come into play here. There's a little bit of an environmental message in terms of like, okay, what are we actually making with our food?
We invented a new pesticide that's mildly radioactive. We've been testing out in our fields.
Yeah, exactly. And it somehow creates interdimensional, whatever.
Or just attracts these things that are interdimensional or something. Like
that's true. Okay.
They create their own portals, but like they are drawn to whatever this pesticide is.
That's interesting. Maybe it's not. It's fertilizer, because the pesticide would actually keep bugs away. So you'd have to say in some way that like this pesticide actually attracts these other bugs.
It's a bad pesticide.
Yeah,
we brought the worst bugs.
But I think the fertilizer makes more sense because it helps it grow, and they would use it's like a miracle thing. But then it is attracting. It's so good that it attracts these interdimensional bugs.
I've got an idea. To introduce a clock to the story. If they are like. I want to make this farm a little ridiculous, like over the top, like our story with Johnny, Mr. Worldwide, who's like this event planner. This like, they're just like so big and successful that they're just like always trying to push the envelope of just like make the new. We're like, we need a better fertilizer to grow more food to make more money. That kind of mentality. Yeah. They introduced this like fertilizer that's they're like in some studies. They say it's slightly radioactive, but we think it's fine. We've been testing it. They like put it in little sections or something. Yeah. Throughout their thing, we've been testing it. We've gotten a lot of positive results from the growth in that little area. From those areas are the locusts. Like we have the main locust comes out, and then maybe we have some like mini boss locusts that they have to contend with later. But then the thing is like we've put it into a fog. They have like one of those planes that they're going to like fertilize the entire thing. And they're like, on this date, we're having tons of success. We're going to do it over all of our fields. And like, that's the clock. Cause if they do that, they're like the guys maybe deduce like, oh shoot. Like if they do that, like a lot of these are going to come through.
That's cool. They do spray. That's like a pesticide thing. So that's how they spray for pesticides, but fertilizing.
Not in this world.
We do it differently. Maybe
they have the money to just dump fertilizer from a plane.
Or that's just how it works. Like, I imagine you could put drones. Drones are the ones that are like they literally shoot it into the ground or whatever. They shoot like fertilizer pellets, and it just disseminates it into the earth. So boom, there you go. There's your Silicon Valley, futuristic way of doing it. That's kind of cool, right? Because then actually that sets up like drone versus locust.
Yeah.
And I think that's.
I do like their like a drone operator works there, and then he's like fighting the locusts like with his drone.
Yeah.
No, like when this, if we get to like a big boss fight where there's like some of the locusts are coming through, maybe they have to figure out like what the opposite of this fertilizer is to like actually repel them. But locusts are coming through, and the guy like we have this background character that's always shooting cinematic drone footage or like flying drones to like drop like little things of stuff. And and the boss is like, bring out the big boy. And then like just from like the barn, like this giant like Spider-Man-esque like turn and it's like blast. They're like, and the farm hands are like, why do we have this? And he's like, you never know
because we can.
Because we can is really funny. Because we can. Oh man,
I think that's actually a really good company motto where it's like, why do we do what we do? Because we can.
Yeah, I imagine. And they always have like film crews because they're always making marketing material.
Oh yeah,
and they're. I like the idea of like one or two bosses, or maybe a boss and his like assistant, or like he has a small council or something. I don't think he's like even necessary. He's kind of a bad guy, but not like evil. He's just like from negligence and doing like not great things. But I like the idea that he's like always filming promos with his video team. He's like, some people say it's unnatural to grow an ear of corn the size of a man, but I say it's progress.
Yeah.
Just like he just has giant corns that are just like insane.
Like a piece of popcorn that is, I mean, that's like, you know, Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs almost, but just like a piece of popcorn. He's like, we're solving world hunger.
Yeah.
And it's like he's delivering these big pieces of popcorn to kids in Africa.
I'm the Walt Disney of farming.
Yeah. That's good. There's actually a lot of farming stuff at Disney World because I do think he had that in mind.
But I think that's the kind of farm we're dealing with. And then we have our two farm hands, which we should probably name. Like, I think they can be brothers still. They're brothers who got this job, and they're just kind of drive the fields.
I think they're both in the drone department. I think that actually works because, like, I'm pretty sure locusts, they're called drones or in the swarm or whatever. Or at least that is a bug term. So it's kind of cool. Again, I like the idea of like one of them piloting. I got it, dude. I got it. At the end, he uses the big boy and the locusts follow the leader. Like that is what they're known for doing. And so he uses that and follows back into the portal. He like turns the whole swarm around and they're like following it.
And there's like a nuke on it that he detonates when they go in.
Because we can. No, they have to talk about like in the drone department, you know, that drone specifically has like a malfunction aspect. That's why they don't take it out. Maybe it happens in the beginning or they barely avert it basically of it blowing up. Which could be really cool where it's like causes a chain reaction.
I like that. Yeah. They're like it's like they have to land it very quickly. They're like, oh, phew. They're like the thing that powers this is dangerous. Like this is not, you cannot buy this. That's a good, you cannot buy this.
Because to keep it in the air that long and for something that heavy, it needs to be
plutonium or something.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like this could blow up and be like. So this is basically a nuke, you know. Like the reporter, a reporter overhears that and he says it's like, so you're flying a nuke, and the CEO guy just walks right up to him. He's like, let's go talk to our legal department, you know, and just gets him. And
that's funny, man. I like it. So we got these.
So guys. We need to name them. I think, and they can be brothers. You know, I don't know. Or maybe they could be brothers, and the one is like the head of the drone department, and the other one is like kind of a goof up brother. And he like gets him a job.
Yeah, I think it can be that, but I also feel like I kind of want some scenes like the Matthew McConaughey beginning of Interstellar, where the kids, Timothy Chalamet is driving, and then he's like, he's tracking a drone, but like I think you can pilot a drone if you're not driving a car, like well, technically probably not legally. Yeah, I have a drone license, so I know a lot about random flying drones, but I don't know. I like a scene where like the one brother has to like be flying it in the passenger seat and the other guy's like chasing something down.
I like that too.
Driving a pickup truck through the fields. I think that's really cool. Maybe he could still be a goof up brother. He's like, I'm only good at driving poorly. Just doing donuts.
I mean, maybe he's just a driver. Like that's the one, the other brother, the goof up one. Let's call him I like the idea that the kind of screwed up brother is the older one, and the younger one is the one who actually like did something. You know, he went and became this big drone dude and got a job at this corporation. So he's able to pull some strings to get his older brother the job. And I already have kind of the arc at that point, because when you're talking about the central relationship of your film, that is the story. Like, that is the actual meat. So when we're deciding whether it's a family or brothers, it's like, okay, what is the story actually going to be? What does it all represent? And I like the idea of an older brother who, you know, maybe has struggled with some sort of addiction or something, or just like is just lazy, immature kind of guy, but then kind of steps up to the plate at the end and does something heroic. You know, maybe he even loses his job like halfway through, but is able to come back. And it's like, we need somebody to fly this. It's like, I only know one person who can. Like, the other guy who I taught how to do it is my brother. So let's see, for names, the younger brother, the guy who's like had the job at the corporation for a long time.
The guy who's good at drones naturally.
Yeah.
What about just Charlie?
Charlie's great. I like Charlie.
Charlie.
And Charlie's a pretty good little brother name. And now, let's see, his older brother, who's kind of screwed up a little bit. Let's go with Charlie and Dennis.
Dennis, the menace.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like it. Charlie and Dennis. I think it's an interesting.
Actually, those are It's Always Sunny characters. I just realized.
Oh, okay. Well, we can keep Charlie. Let's just change.
We can do that. We can do that. That's fine.
All right. Yeah. We can be Charlie and Dennis, played by the two guys.
Yeah.
No, we got Charlie and Dennis. It's an interesting turn on its head situation when you, like, the older brother's the mess up one. You know, not that always has to be. Like, I think that's just in writing you see that a lot.
I think that's just it's an interesting, like you said, I don't see it super often dynamic, but it could add to a lot of their charged conversation where it's like, well, you know, I'm supposed to be the older brother. I'm the, you know, the one who's supposed to be. I was the one who's supposed to get you this job, but like, you know, and they could talk about mom and dad, and maybe mom and dad are dead. You know, just kind of clean cut type situation, but their ghosts can kind of always haunt them, you know, and their conversations and stuff. But he gets him his job. He's kind of screwed up. Maybe he crashes a drone in the beginning, and that's where they're out like looking for that crashed drone. It's like, hey,
I think Charlie teaches him, like, Dennis isn't supposed to fly the drones. Charlie's like secretly teaching him, like, in the dawn hours of the morning, because he's like, hey man, if you get good at this, then I think you could move up. Like, maybe he is just a driver or something, or maybe he's like literal farm. Like, he tends to some machines and stuff like that.
Yeah, but I got a good reason why he'd have to step up to the plate to drive the drones.
Okay.
So I think Charlie gets his hands bit off.
Oh, you're
just like perfectly.
Just like the wing, like one of their wings, just like
oh, that'd be scary actually. I was just imagining like
the number of times in this podcast that you pitch that someone's hand gets clean chopped off. About a nickel for every time.
It just works, man. It's just good story. It works, dude.
It just works. The guy who needs to use
one hand could be enough too. One hand could be enough, and he could just say like, "I can't fly my drone."
We'll do this together, and they both hold one side of the controller.
Yeah, it's like it doesn't work like that. That would be funny. I mean, I don't mind that a little bit. I do want Dennis to die at the end. I do think that's a good, like, you know, he stepped up to the plate and he did something heroic. But how do you do that exactly?
They kill the entire swarm of dangerous ones. It blows up in their portal, kills them all. They have their friend one, the one that he's befriended, and then it just kills him. It's just me and Slimy here, and then Slimy just like rips his throat out, and then it just and credits roll. No.
So I was thinking, obviously that's a funny idea.
It's funny. I don't. Actually
Charlie is flying the drones, and maybe Slimy, if that's its name, does freak out, and it actually does like razor wing him and like cut him up a whole bunch, you know, and ends up slicing off his hand. It crashes the mother of all drones, whatever we want to call it, and that's what happens is Dennis goes in his truck and picks up that drone and drives it because the locusts are all still following it. So they all like land next to it, right? And so he goes and he gets it up onto his truck and is able to then get in the car and drive. And they start following it again, and he goes right into the portal. He just like, shoo, and then they all follow it.
I've got another pitch though, because I don't know if does the portal stay open or does it close behind them? Because I thought of this one scene where he's like, Slimy, you cut my brother's hand off, but I need you to come through for me. I need you to open up one more portal. And like, so then you have this scene where he has the drone in the truck, he's following Slimy, and everyone's like, because Slimy's basically going to open the portal that he's going to drive through, and everyone's going to pop through. And then we've got a Tony Stark-esque thing with the nuke where he's like in this weird limbo space.
I think that's kind of cool. I'll take it one step further where right after Slimy decapitates or takes out Charlie, right? He gets hurt. They are able to kill.
I don't think he decapitates Charlie.
I know, it was the wrong word. He dismembers him, right? He takes off a hand. That there's a scientist character, Rachel, whatever, and she works on the farm, and she is able to get Slimy's head because they kill Slimy. Like they just like kill it, but his head has like the thing that creates the portals, like some sort of gem or whatever, and she has that hooked up. And I love the idea that like Dennis is riding with Slimy's head like hooked up.
Yeah,
and he's like, I need you to make a portal now.
I like it making squeaking noise. Or like in that territory where if Slimy becomes like a real like main part of this, like like the animal companion, then it's not super satisfying to kill it. But if it's just Dennis who's like imprinting on this thing, and he's like, no, he's my friend, and like he's clearly not. Like this thing is like dangerous, and like then I think
I'm gonna
get away
this thing, and then the thing doesn't.
Like it's dangerous. It keeps like killing random things, and you don't really personify it at all.
That's part
of
Dennis.
Kill it.
That's part of Dennis redeeming his like irresponsibility, basically his immaturity, because his immaturity is what actually got his brother Charlie dismembered, like his hand cut off. Yeah. And so it's like, I need to take it to the next level. And maybe, that can happen like midpoint shift where they're like, oh man, because we have to have enough time where Dr. Rachel, it takes the head and actually, so maybe Charlie doesn't even get a chance to do the drone thing. Like the locust actually takes him out pretty early in the effort to
get the big boy. Does the boss man die?
Oh yeah, for sure.
I feel like
for sure. I think that's.
We can circle back to how he dies in a minute. I think we need to get this death scene right because it is funny. This is all the locusts are coming out. Maybe Charlie, or not Charlie, Slimy, is like does kind of like it's like mostly it's just like indifferent. Like it's not like it's just eating. It's not actively attacking them ever. It like panics or just flies and it cuts off his hand. And then he's like, Dennis is like, Slimy, no. And then Charlie's like, that thing doesn't care about you. And then the locusts are like slowly starting to come. And then they're like, the scientist is like, oh, they're coming through a portal. If we had like one of their heads or something, we could do it. And Slimy's the only semi-docile one. Again, not personifying it or making it friendly to them. It's just like, it's like, I don't know, he keeps feeding it, so it's like over, like it's like fat and stuff. And then I like this scene, I don't know if this would play or not, where like this heart-to-heart with like Dennis, and he's like, Slimy. He's trying to pet it and stuff. It's not even looking at him. It's just like eating like a rat, like just like not paying attention. And he's having this heartfelt conversation with this thing that's not paying attention. He's like, I don't like that you cut my brother's hand off. And we had some good times, we really did. But like, we both have to become what we need to become. And then from behind him, he just has an axe and he just axes.
Oh yeah, that's good. That is good. Yeah.
And just like, so it's like this fake forced sweet moment, just that's super one-sided, and he just decapitates the Slimy, and then he takes the head and sticks it on his car. Yeah. So, all right, Slimy, let's do this thing.
That's cool.
I like that. And because yeah, you're kind of getting a sense of how much of a screw up this guy is, and like how, and maybe he is like divorced or something, and he's lonely. He's like putting these emotions in this thing that he's trying to ET that clearly like
and
aren't
he
there.
uses the relationship with Slimy. Dennis uses the relationship with Slimy to try and increase his own standing in the company.
Yeah.
To mirror his brothers. So he's like, I'm the locust wrangler. So at first, like he is, and it does work a little bit, and he gets this kind of artificial boost. But then when all of them come through and he can't do anything about it, like, you know, it's like Slimy is going to be able to communicate, you know, whatever. He's like, oh, they should be able to. And it doesn't, none of that pans out. So he's got egg on his face, right? Like corporately, the CEO Slimy guy fires him.
He's Simba's Slimy. Like, I feel like these guys are slowly trickling out, like to the point that it's like semi-safe, you know? Like maybe we don't do the plain thing, because I feel like that implies they need to stay secret, but like they're getting more and more attracted to this fertilizer, but they're really attracted to the drones for some reason. They're really attracted to plutonium, but so there's like, they're kind of like maybe 5, like enough that you could like shut the doors of the barn or like lock them out,
sure,
like, that it's not. But then once the end comes in, there's just floods and floods of them. That's like where it gets dangerous. But I think when there's like 5, there's like, he's like, don't worry, I'll take care of this. And he holds up Slimy. He's like, Slimy, tell them to stop. And then like it just makes a little wiggle sound. And then one of the ones, that loose ones, just flies and beelines it and flies through a guy's chest.
Yes. Well, I think that guy should be the CEO. Because he's commanding Dennis. He's like, you're the wrangler. Like, you wrangle these things, right? Like, this is what you said you do. And he's just like, yeah, I do. And then it's just, and he's just, and now, of course, Charlie thinks he's going to lose his job. Of course, we're in like end game territory where jobs don't really matter when there's a giant swarm of
these locusts that fly through people.
Yeah. So I think that's probably what can happen. Maybe the guy gets like cut in half, and as he's dying, he's just like, fire him. I
was gonna say his dying wish. He fires. He's like, fire that guy.
And he's like, fire him, and he's like, he didn't say a name. Was it you? You know, it's the guy behind him.
He's like, it could have been talking about. That's a very Tim Robinson hot dog sketch. He's like, we don't know who he was talking. Like, the guy.
We'll never know who he was talking about.
You got to go to the legal department. That is funny. And then I don't know what the
frame
clock.
It all. To further frame it all, it should be a Silicon Valley guy, you know, Mark Zuckerberg's personal farm / like other business that he's been developing on this stuff. So it's out in the middle of nowhere. Yeah. You know, like Wyoming, and there's just tons of, and there could be stuff growing there that just unnaturally couldn't grow. Or naturally couldn't grow. So that's what he's been developing, and the fertilizers like allows anything to grow. But what it does attract is these, it's, you know, you can even have like somebody quote Jurassic Park, where it's like life finds a way, you know, like there's always a check and balance in nature. So once we have, you know, created this monster fertilizer that allows us to like supersede the laws of nature, that nature corrects itself and delivers this ungodly group of locusts that come in.
Yeah. I think we have to establish early on as well that like maybe in the drone farm, when Charlie's messing with someone before his hand situation, Slimy keeps trying to crawl to the big, like we have this thing under a tarp or something. There's something under a tarp, like it's something big. It's the big boy. He's like, whoa, Slimy, no, you don't want to go near that. Like, he keeps like trying to crawl. Yeah. Maybe Slimy's got a broken wing. That might be a nice.
I do think that in the beginning, because we could go back and kind of draw it all out now for people. We open up with the brothers driving in a truck, tracking a rogue drone, and they realize that it hit something. One of their drones hit something in the beginning, and that was Slimy. And so they show up and they find the drone on the ground, and then Slimy on the ground, just like kicking a little bit, like it can't get up.
Like a bee, broken on its last legs.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, I like that. It's kind of, because it's still, that also adds to the thing that it is a dangerous thing, but it's not like fully capable because it's hurt and weak. I think that makes sense. and then yeah, we get it. Like we get these hints that it's crawling towards whatever's. I think that's like a big reveal at the end. The big boy, like the boss says, he's like, do we need to get the big boy out? And then like this is when the five are flying around. I think the boss dies like when it's all kicking off, like when there's a big swarm, you know?
Okay.
Or maybe, or I don't know. It just feels like funny. I don't know. A little early for him to just die when there's like five of them, but whatever.
Yeah, I feel like because he's not that big a presence. Obviously, he's there to threaten their jobs and everything. And I think that is a good note that when he does die is when Charlie's at his most in danger. Dennis is getting fired. You know, it could even happen after Charlie gets hurt. That the boss says like, Dennis, you're fired, you know,
and then dies.
And then dies. Yeah. And it's like, yeah, but yeah.
Or he fires him over the hand thing and then he comes back and then.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it could make sense to. I feel like if Slimy is the thing that cuts off Charlie's hand, then we feel less bad about him killing Slimy at the end. Like I think that makes sense. And then, we get to the end. They like the portals really open up or something like that. I don't know what motivates that. They really like if something falls over. Maybe like they have a big storage thing of the fertilizer, and like one of the things chews the leg and it falls over. And when it falls over, a ton like way more of these things start flying through.
That's true. The portal, I think, explaining what that looks like, how that actually works. They obviously have to be able to. Like locusts can travel, like they're able to get through it. So like, why was Slimy was the first one that got through? But I guess the portal widens. I don't know. I mean, it doesn't necessarily need a total explanation. It's just how does the portal get closed at the end? How does it? Like, it does relate to that, I guess.
Well, yeah, that's the thing I'm saying is like, does the portal just close after the things go through? So they have to reopen the portal with Slimy.
That's why having the scientist character is helpful because she could postulate some ideas.
Yeah. I like them being just like riffs in the air, like it's just like cracks. Like it's not a portal you can see through. It's like just a crack that like you could push through if you wanted to. And then I think we have they're attracted to maybe plutonium more than they are than the fertilizer, which I don't know. Maybe the fertilizer has a unique property that really drew them interdimensionally. Because like plutonium exists and these things don't attack that, so don't think about it.
Yeah, I think it's just it's a specific property of like to get it to be this drone fuel thing, or the fertilizer thing. They had to create some new version of it that created an energy signature. Or whatever.
It's like it's their own created energy signature because it's a crazy farm that does whatever they want because we can.
Yeah. Because we can.
At the end, this is a bit too far. Where like a computer monitor like pops on, and it's like the boss, and he's like, "Good job, boys," and they're like, "Is this a recording?" He's like, "No, I transcendenced myself into the computer in case I ever died."
Yeah, that is funny. That there's like a boss AI. Or
he's
whatever,
like, Yeah, he's like
that would actually be. You could do that. I think there's a lot of. This feels like a very modern movie. You know, we're talking about drones, Silicon Valley. You know, even like Monsanto type company with the level of fertilizer. You know, experimentation going on or whatever. That's kind of situates it in a really cutting edge. So like you could throw an AI boss where after he dies, it like kicked in.
I think that's funny. That's really funny to me. Where it's just
if you're watching this, I'm dead. You know, it's like, but I've spent years putting my personality into this AI. And he can even have like a thing that he wears, the boss. This is just like weird and funny. A thing that he wears that's like just recording his life, you know, and things that he says and stuff. Yeah. And it's like, it's it's feeding into that.
Yeah, so it's like live. He's like, my last memory is being cut in half by a locust.
That is really funny.
He's like,
it sends out a newsletter. It sends out a newsletter. If you're reading this, I'm dead.
He's like, did I miss anything, or did I get cut in half by a locust? They're like, no, no, that's pretty much what happened.
That's exactly what happened.
That's exactly what.
It would have to be tied back in. Go ahead.
I was gonna say when he's like is dying, he's like, you're fired, and he dies, and he's like, we don't know. We don't know who he was talking to. And then like the hologram or a computer chips on it, and he's like, I was talking about you. You're fired. Like, I copied my brain into an AI, and in case this happened. I have a lot of enemies. I have a lot of enemies.
This is, yeah, exactly. Like, I think that the boss character is a little underdeveloped if we're going to go that far with him. Mm-hmm. He's a good comedic thing. But I think if we introduce that, we need to have some sort of thematic reasoning. You know, what is the justification for having that? So maybe at the end, Dennis is turned into an AI. And so he's just like riding around with his brother at the end. You know.
Oh yeah, like I don't know. I'm doing the AI thing more for a joke. I feel like that takes it to like a whole level. Like when you say why, he's like, why'd you transcendence yourself? He's like, because we can.
That's true. Yeah, that does allow you pretty much anything, and it is just a good joke where it's like, because I could.
Yeah, it's like I'm not trying to really develop this boss character. It's just like he's so in this upper echelon of like he can do anything.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like they're like, so you can do this for other people? He's like, oh no, it's just for me.
Yeah, I can. He just leaves it at that.
Yeah, I can.
I can.
Anyway, and he just keeps on talking about.
He just keeps going. Yeah. So what happened in wherever Wyoming? It can literally be named wherever Wyoming.
Yeah, I like that.
Whatever happened in wherever. He talks to the shareholders after that, as an AI thing, and it's just funny. But they close the portal somehow. Yeah. We kind of implied that it was Slimy's head. Like Slimy is one of the ones that opens the portals. Mm-hmm. And so like they figure that out. They see that happen. They're testing.
Yeah, they shoot a little beam and that right out in front of them, and it opens a portal or something.
Yep. And so I think there's a little bit of a love interest between Rachel and Dennis. And so Rachel, he takes Slimy over there, and they're talking about it, and they play a frequency or something like that allows like a little beam to open up, and they can literally open and close a portal that way.
I like that.
And so she tells him like, hey, to open and close a portal, you're going to have to get, use this device or whatever that I've hooked up to his head. And so he like flies through the portal and is in whatever dimension. And then she's like, you're going to have a few seconds to be able to like activate a portal closing initiative or whatever. So he goes through the thing, all of the locusts. He's like, you're going to have to wait for all the locusts to go through and then hit that thing on the other side. And then it just closes it up. And that's what happens.
But does he set off a bomb? Does he blow up the locusts, or does he just...
I think he just sends them back through the portal. There's really no... Like, there's so many of them that I don't know if you could kill them all.
Well, if you had the drone that was powered by like a nuclear power source...
that's fair. Okay, so you're just saying... So it's a little like Tony Stark, where it's like throwing the nuke back through the portal.
Yeah, I was saying that a little bit, but he just doesn't make it back. Like, the big boy, they were going to fly it through the portal and blow it up, but then like it gets damaged. So it like...
Well, then what he could do is he could get on top of it. Like, so instead of him putting it in his truck, like he literally rides the drone.
And why does he need to do that? To do the frequency thing with the portal or something?
To do all of that, and it blowing up. Like, it kills him at the end, obviously. Like that.
Yeah, but like, why?
But I guess he could do it if he had a truck.
My question is like, why does he riding the drone if he could just be safely on the ground and fly the drone?
Because it's broken.
Okay.
Yeah. You said that because because it got broken in the whole Charlie's hand being cut off thing, and so that way they end up.
That's where
all we're doing is just trying to properly set up the need for
he uses some tool to like jack to like get it up into the truck bed, because I imagine it's big and kind of heavy, and then he just has to drive.
It can be like a futuristic truck too, like that has like a crane thing on the back,
a cyber truck.
Yeah. Whoa. That's
Oh yeah,
so
no,
cool.
I like that. It's a truck that has like it's like Mater from but better
Yeah,
from
it's just like
like
a big
Cars. It
magnet
just
truck
has
or whatever. Just
yeah,
you know. And he's like,
drives and
okay,
then
and he's like driving through all the locusts, and they're all like on the ground,
yeah,
just sitting there or whatever, because they're just around the mother drone thing.
yeah,
Um,
and then
that's
they
kind of
chase
cool.
it and he flies it into the portal,
Uh
uses
huh.
Slimy to open the portal. They all come in, portal close. Maybe
He can't close it. He can't close it. That's what it is.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Maybe he's thinking I'll drive. Like he's just driving through cosmos, like weird
Yeah,
abstract
yeah, yeah,
space.
yeah. Just a weirdo
But
place.
I do have a final joke in this where like we do have this sincere, because like all the stage, or all the farmer people like watch this happen and they run over to the portal like a distance away. And I don't know if we wanted to make this so futuristic because I do think the boss is not a great character. So I feel like him dying for real. I like the idea that he is like an AI device that like he's like, I copied myself into this machine, and it maybe like is a screen or a
Oh,
projection. But here's my joke is
yeah,
that
I saw something.
it's like he like the little thing like flies over to the portal. It's like I think he did it, and then like the bomb goes off and like it blows up, like it
Yeah,
destroys the machine when it destroys the portal too.
yeah.
But like
Killing
it
the boss again.
yeah it kills the boss again for real this
That's
time.
what you made me think of. Yeah, that's really
But then
funny.
like that happens and it blows the portal, and then the machine like that he copied himself to. And then like they're like, did he have another? Did he have himself backed up? They're like, no,
Yeah,
that machine was expensive. That was it.
I like that a lot. Killing someone twice is really funny.
Especially someone who's so egotistical, like the boss in this.
Oh
Like,
yeah, oh yeah. And so yeah, at the end you just have Charlie sad, obviously, that his brother died.
yeah,
But he's like, proud of him that he was able to solve this big problem.
yeah,
That would have ended the world. They would have eaten
yeah,
all of the world's crops, maybe even the entire universe, that kind of thing. And so he's able to. His brother helped save the cosmos, and so he could talk to Rachel probably.
yeah. I
You
feel
know,
like his board, like his yes men, the boss's yes men, kind of are just like, well, what should we do now? And like Rachel's actually like super competent and like knowing like, or like maybe Charlie and like there's like maybe another side character like between them they have all the skills to like run the farm and like
yeah.
do it more ethically and responsibly. And we kind of cut forward to that a little bit where or just imply that that's what's gonna happen.
Yeah, I think implying that that's what's going to happen is probably better, just because we're not, our message isn't really about that, like the crops or anything. It's really just about the relationship between the brothers. So,
Yeah, you could do a flash forward and like maybe he named some section of the farm or some
yeah,
machine after his brother or something like
a new drone maybe.
yeah, the dentist or something. It's like
Yeah,
the new. He's like you always wanted to fly, bud, and then he
yeah,
like,
yeah.
flies the drone around. I
That's
like it.
cool.
I
Yeah,
think that's a cool story. It's very funny in a lot
yeah.
of weird ways.
Because we can, I think is probably our along the lines. The company motto.
Because he is it because we can or he can?
Well, I mean, it probably started out as because I can, but
Yeah. I think
it
it's
is.
funny where it's like that's the motto where he's like, why do we do this? And then like the response is like,
Yeah.
because he can. Like it's very like directed towards
They're all
him.
about him.
Yeah.
No, maybe they say that in a derogatory way, where it's like because we can, more like because he can.
Yeah.
Like nobody's gonna stop him. And so yeah, the dentist set up by killing by killing the CEO. He set up a better future for the world even,
Yeah,
and
by
then killing him
accidentally.
twice. I think is really funny. This guy's so much of a screw up that he
Yeah.
kills the CEO twice.
They're like, did he have a will? They're like, no, he didn't think he'd ever die.
Yeah, I mean it was the AI thing, and of course having that.
His will was the AI thing. That's really funny. That's super funny. I like it's also like I know it's like a little fantastical, but the fact that we're leaving it completely in joke territory, like it's like
Yeah.
there and it can make sense that it's there, but we're not dwelling on this technology that he has. It just he
Yeah.
can do it. The way he makes almost less sense than the locust in some way. I'm just like, how can you do all this? Because I just can. I can do it.
Oh yeah, I think we're parodying lots of people, lots of things at the same time, and I think it really meshes well, in my opinion. And the hubris, it's the idea that, like, okay, we have this eccentric billionaire type character who is obviously, we're like pulling on an Elon Musk type thing, but people love him or hate him, and he might be doing good, solving good problems, but he's also like wanting to put chips in your brain. It's like that kind of thing. It's like, man, the guy's doing a lot of good stuff, but also, okay, real. Oh, all right.
Yeah. He's feeding
and so it's
hungry,
just playing with that type of thing.
Yeah.
And not in an overly, I don't know. I mean, it's just that type of trope has been around,
Yeah. I don't want him to be like clearly a bad guy. He's just like so disconnected that you don't even like, it's almost impossible to empathize with this character.
Well, he's the guru type thing. It's like the guru thing type, pushed to its absolute maximum.
Yeah.
And so, like, yeah, he's abrasive, and that's why he does because I can, basically.
Yeah.
Like, I do it because I'm me. I'm this superhuman thing. And maybe that's what Charlie learns at the end, is because Charlie was attracted to working for the company, to like climb excellence for excellence sake, like just to be good at what you do, basically, and kind of forego his family a little bit. Like, maybe even Dennis was there for his parents when they died, as screwed up as he was. It's like they didn't like me being around, but at least I was there. I wasn't obsessed with work, basically. So this kind of helps Charlie now that he's been humbled by having a hand removed. He kind of comes out of it like with a newfound like purpose.
I imagine there's one more little joke you could do if you did a flash forward where you see like Rachel or something. She's like, all right, all done. And like he has this like 3-pronged like robot thing. And he's like, I would ask why he has this, but I think I know the answer. Like, it's like, because I can. Like, he has robot parts around too.
Yeah, I mean, that's right. The world had been set up already at that point. Like, and so he just has a rudimentary like robotic arm.
Yeah. I don't want it to be like a full like this. Like, I think it needs to be like some sort of claw thing. But
that's really cool.
I like it. I think it's a cool story of brothers. I think it's unique and funny and just a fun, good goofball movie.
Yeah, I could definitely see Tim Robinson or other like skit comedy type guys being in it. Some SNL people, maybe. You just for the leads, because it is supposed to be funny. Like, it is just pure comedy at that point. I guess it has like a horror element to it. If a lot of it happened at night and stuff, the locusts could be really scary. They could be killing a bunch of people. There's a whole middle act before they actually decide to kill the locusts. That more of them are coming in. They're picking off people. Maybe even like the compound or whatever. It's so big that they like literally attack like a barracks that they have employees in, and they kill everybody in there. Like that kind of thing could make this more horror oriented, more science fiction. I mean, it's already kind of sci-fi, so.
I feel like you could add really like some more like slow building and introducing these things. I think that would be cool, like a horror comedy with these locusts.
Yeah.
Well,
and so they're drone. They're farmers who use drones to fertilize with this plutonium, this new strain of plutonium that then attracts cosmic locusts. And the two brothers, the older brother is the screw up. His arc is to take responsibility and actually, resolve an issue for once in his life, as opposed to like running away from things. And then the younger brother is like super competent, kind of a workaholic, and his arc is to care more about family than he does about work. And maybe we imply that him and Rachel like have a relationship at that point. So it's like, okay, there's family there. Like he's got,
Charlie. Yeah, I think we need to maybe not dance. Well, I guess we could tease, because I think we mentioned Dennis and Rachel maybe hinting at something, or
that could just further that theme though of just like he's a screw up kind of thing.
That's true. I think I like it, man. I think we just need to slap a title on this one.
I agree.
Did anything come to mind with locusts?
Well, we talked about the drone thing in the beginning.
Also, if you hear a dog in the background, my dog might run in
bark
here.
ground.
So just audience, if you hear a dog barking in the background, or if he runs up and jumps into frame, that could happen at some point. But you were saying?
Oh, I was just saying something with drones. But I think locusts, they have an interesting background. For whatever reason, on Wikipedia, or like when you first Google them, it says that they're edible by humans. Okay, well, that's good to know. I think we talked about the themes being something to do with brothers.
Yeah.
Our family even. I'm trying to think, because locusts are a group swarming beast. So this idea that we could play on that relationship, basically. Let's see. Or something with crops, like growing them together.
Or something like, I don't know, something even like the two locusts or something is interesting, because locusts aren't normally, like, they're in big groups, but then like kind of implying something towards there's like only two brothers. Like it's like the contrast of like, because locusts, I think you might have said, like, are like family. Like they have a lot of family. There's so much family. And these brothers, they only
well,
really
they're just
have
nothing
each other.
but the collective. Yeah, they're nothing but the collective. Whereas, there is that balance, I guess, of like the collective versus the individuals. But we do have the collective represented as Charlie and Dennis's family. It's just, the relationship is fractured, but the theme doesn't work exactly because the locusts are bad because they're a collective.
Yeah. I guess
so I guess coming together and a good collective fighting a bad collective, that's basically what happens at the end. But something
we can also name it the farm too.
I was thinking something like that, something with farming, or even like plagues. Like the locusts are considered a plague, obviously biblically, but also just in terms of like history. They come and they go, and they take all the crops and stuff. And the stupid title I had, I'll say this. The stupid title I was Brocust, which is bro and locust put together. It's, again, so stupid.
I like it though. Like Brocust is like it's like so dumb, but it's like that's the story. The story is dumb a little bit. Like it has.
Well, that's true. That's true. I guess it just depends. If you renamed or Slimy being something, but Slimy's not really I guess he's a symbol. He's a symbol of Dennis's incompetence. But then at the end, he turns his incompetence into something that helps them. Not to say that he's, he's like, he kills it. Yeah. He kills the thing that he was nursing, which is like the immature type thing. Yeah. So Slimy would also work as a name. Yeah. Sort of. Again, I think something with drones is probably the way to go.
Swarm of Slimies.
More about
drones.
I want to know more.
I'm trying to think of I'm trying to think of some drone terminology off the top of my head that would relate to. I'm trying to tie drones to the swarms. Isn't drones also mean like a large amount, or?
I don't think so.
I think
they're also in Gears of War. I forgot about this. Gears of War has their locusts are the bad guys. They're like the big alien dudes. So I know that locusts chirp in terms of like the way they communicate. I like chirp. And that's kind of a drone term. Mm-hmm. We could seed that in there in terms of like that's how the big boy communicates or whatever as well. Yeah. So we could tie them together.
We're a chirp from the big boy.
Yep. Yep. Or the drone that was missing in the beginning, where it's like, we have its chirp over here. It's a good word. It's a word you don't really hear that often.
Yeah, I like it. It could, if we wanted it to be more horror sounding, which I know we've talked about comedy horror, it could be the chirping. But I'm good with the chirping or chirp.
I like that a lot because I do like that we're pulling in the horror aspect. And that maybe when the locusts do show up, we hear all of that, and that ties to like why they follow the big boy at the end. Yeah. It chirps and it makes a sound that they like are attracted to. That helps them follow. I like that a lot, actually. Cool.
I like it.
I like that a lot too. The chirping.
The chirping. Well, folks, you have listened to the chirping. Just imagine a few more horror scenes sprinkled throughout this comedy we've written. But I like it. I think it's fun.
And we did. Why did we tell this story? Why did we tell this story? Because we can.
Because we can. Thank you all for listening to StoryFellas, a part of the Pemmican Studios podcast network. Check out our show notes for bonus material, links, and more. To find out more about our current projects, send us messages, and suggest ideas for the show, go to StoryFellasPodcast.com. If you liked what you heard, share the show with a friend. Word of mouth is the best way to grow this community. Until next time, go make and break those stories.